What's shaking, everybody? This is pen 7. Shipped cows out yesterday. Fat cows, fat steers. So now I'm gonna go through it. I'm gonna go check fences. Yeah, guys dumping dirt over by a well so we can build a road across the ditch, or a driveway across the ditch so we can get to it. So boss man's out playing in the payloader doing that for the time being. And I am gonna go run around these fences quick. I'm gonna go watch, see what he's doing. I went in to go get that part today, that intake heater relay. It was supposed to be here last Wednesday, didn't show up. Supposed to be here Saturday, didn't show up. Supposed to be here yesterday, didn't show up. So the guy, we ordered it through a mechanic shop in Holdridge. It's really good, treated us real good. He was down there and he went and picked it up, and he's gonna hand deliver it out here to us, which he didn't need to do, but we're grateful for that. So very, very grateful for that. But I'm gonna go run around this fence line. Had to shut the fencer off so I didn't zap myself. I'm gonna go see if we can find anything need stretch fixed, anything off the insulators, all that good stuff. So we'll see how this goes. Well, we got one. Rubbed the wire off the insulator. I get to scratch themselves on this, and they'll knock this off, and they'll knock this keeper off. Not a huge deal, but if it's wet, if it's on the post like this, it'll short out and make it so the rest of the fence don't work. So I'll put that on, put this wire back over the barbed wire, and we'll tighten it down, and it should be good to go. In the last video, I talked to you guys about running jumpers in the corners, and I went up and I did the ones overhead. The ones in the corners are these little guys right here. They run in the corners of these pins. They run from the hot wire on the one side to what's going to be a hot wire on this side. And that just, good way to jump it across. Works better going overhead. We used to go underground, but obviously stuff sits underground for years and years and years. Well, it doesn't work all that great. It doesn't last forever. So this was what they did, just run jumpers in the corners, and it works, but they do get broken off. And then you get cattle that right up against there, they break it off, and then they start getting out of the fences because it's not hot. So it is what it is. I got to put all these up over top, but as you can see, runs across through the corner there. Simple, but it works. So showed you guys the jumper. Pretty simple. We check all these wires, and you can see this guy right here is not real tight. Now for a feedlot, it may work all right, but I don't like it. So I'm gonna go and see if I can unwrap it right there. And if I can, then I'm probably gonna use the stretchers, pull off of the post, pull this tight, and wrap it back through. We'll see how well it works. But these fences are not all that tight over here. But this isn't pasture fence. This is feedlot fence that's got hot wires in it. So, I don't know. It's worked for them this long. Why change? So I gotta show you guys what I did, so you can understand it a little bit. You see my stretchers here. You can see we got the one end on the back of the pole, on the back of the post. The other end we got on the wire. The reason we're doing that is kind of what you do when you're building new fence. Is to really get that tight, believe yourself enough that you can loop it through that loop. If that makes any sense. But instead of pulling on another wire and stretching another wire, especially that one around the corner, it allows you to pull off something sturdy, and you seem to get it a little bit tighter. But now I've gotten this tight. Got the free end here. and we're gonna put it through this loop right here. Got plenty to do it. It's gonna work out great. It's gonna keep that stuff tight. It's always nice when you can pull off at ends like this. But I'm gonna get that short up and we'll keep working our way around. Now, one problem that we run into a little bit is you got the steel corners and the steel gates, and then you run the barbed wire off of them and the hot wires off of them. Well, they're just wrapped around there like that. So if it's stretched tight enough, you usually don't move. Top ones don't move much. But one big problem is these ones hooked to the hot wire. Well, they get in there and they move them one way or another, and it leaves big gaps. So what I've been doing is I've been running a wire over this top one and pulling it underneath this pole. So that makes it, if they get in there, scratch themselves and whatnot, and go to push it up, there's only so far it's gonna go. Makes things a little bit easier on my end. If you guys were wondering the type of gloves I got, they're Kinko gloves, or Kinko fencing gloves. It's supposed to be waterproof. I don't know how true that is, but they got an extra layer of leather on your hands. So they handled barbed wire pretty good. I'm very impressed with them. It's always been a general rule that you don't use expensive gloves when fencing because you ruin them. Well, my brother got me a set of these for Christmas, and I went and bought another set to keep here at I'll keep in the pickup for work. They've held up great. I love them. Definitely recommend them. Well, we got everything done with the fence and got the fencer turned back on. So, next order of business was to go, watch the boss man, see what he's doing, pushing that dirt over and making a driveway through a ditch, which is fun. I mean, that's fun. I mean, what guy doesn't like watching stuff like that? And I get to learn something too, because I mean, I can run a loader, but I can't run a loader like he can. Get a lot of years under his belt. But when I got back to the pickup, I realized that I missed a phone call. Missed a phone call from the guy that we got that relay from, or through. Well, instead of waiting on me to give him directions, he kind of figured this out on his own, and he put the relay on the seat in the feed truck. So, let's go look at that relay and try to get this nightmare underway. Well, here she is. Well, let's open it up and see what we got. This is it. This is exactly what we need. This is what makes your grid heater work. Your intake heater, whatever you want to call it. It's what they put in here in place of glow plugs. When this thing isn't working, the grid heater don't work. Which means that you got to unload a lot of starting fluid in this bugger to make it start when it's cold. And sometimes when it's not even cold. But this just bolts in there, and you got two cables coming off the battery to it. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but I know I got two cables going into it. And this bugger, I'm gonna flip you around, because this is the part that's a pain in the neck. And you'll see why when I really get everything tore apart. So this little relay is back in behind that doghouse. Now, the doghouse is a pain. You got bolts all the way around it. You got to pull this carpet mat or whatever you want to call it up. And you got to pull this shift tower off, which is just not fun. And you can see we got some mice in here that want to eat stuff up when we're gone. And then the relay is back over in that area. Pain to get to because doghouse does not come completely out. It's just the wonderful way this truck is set up. And then you got to get back in behind, well, to the side of that fuel pedal there. So it's fun. I mean, sarcastically fun. So I've had all that apart before because I wanted to make sure that relay was there and make sure I knew what it looked like. And there's really no videos or anything about it because years before this, they didn't run a grid heater. And then when you search for anything, they talk about it like it's a school bus, and it's obviously not a school bus. So it is a pain to kind of figure out on your own. But I got to figure it out. For someone that ain't a mechanic, I figured it out. Most of my mechanic experience as far as trucks go is on a 379 Peterbilt. And it's just a little bit different in that because you actually got room in those. So I'm going to start by taking the shift tower off, pulling back that mat, and then probably better disconnect the batteries, I guess. And then we'll get that doghouse back, and I'll show you guys how tight it is in there. Looks great, doesn't it? And you can't see all that well, but this guy right there is what we're after. I get bolt on top, bolt on bottom, get a wire that clips into it, and 2 wires that bolt onto those studs. But like I say, you ain't got a whole heck of a lot of room in there. So I'm not sure the best plan of attack. I'm going to get in there and feel around a little bit because I have, well, I'll just show you guys. I got this handy dandy little thing. So that might work, might be an option. I don't know. I might have to get in there with 1/4-inch ratchet and just get after it. I don't know. And there ain't a whole lot of room all the way around to do a whole lot of anything, so I'm gonna get some stuff and clean that up a little bit so I can see what I'm working with. Then feel around a little bit and we'll see what we got. Oh my goodness. I don't know why they designed stuff like this, and I don't know who on earth would want to work on it. Oh well, I'm taking one for the team. Could have taken it into the guys that usually work on this thing and had them do it. But I figure if I did that, they'd never let us go there again. So we'll see what we got. Well, got it. Kinda. Broke off the bottom tab. There's just not enough room in there to get a ratchet on anything, especially on the bottom there. I can see where that was, but there wasn't enough room to get my, where did I set it? Gear wrench in there. So, broke it. Wasn't that hard. Sold. So, now I'm going to go in there, get that bottom tab out, and then we'll try to get everything put back together and see if the darn thing actually works. We'll see. I sure hope it does. Because there's just nothing to that intake heater. It literally a couple of prongs that turn that thing red hot to heat that air. So there really can't be much wrong with that. Usually it's the relay from what I've read. But we'll see. All sorts of fun. So like I said, there isn't a whole heck of a lot of room down there. You see one of my wires. I don't know why this thing don't focus, but definitely not a lot of room. Well, we got that bugger put back together, and it was as big of a pain in the neck as I figured it'd be. Well, we got it. We got it. Now, the moment of truth to see if this bugger fires up. I'd call that a success. Now, ever since I started working here, this feed truck has been a pain. We've always had to put some sort of starting fluid on spray some starting fluid to get it to start. Now, if it was a warm afternoon and everything else worked according to plan, then sometimes she may struggle a little bit, but she'll pop off without starting fluid. This thing started right up. We do have a block heater in it, which does help. If we didn't have a block heater, even the starting fluid wouldn't take it off. In my opinion, anyway. But we finally kind of really looked into the root of the problem and made it happen. Thank goodness. So for those of you who are looking, International 4300, the DT466. I believe this is a 2005 model. Intake heater relay under the doghouse. It is a pain in the neck. Doable. But there isn't a whole lot of room. And if you had a different shift tower set up than what I got, then it probably wouldn't be so bad. But the original shift tower, they put a plate over it. You can't get the plate off. And the one they put in here for the feed truck, it's kind of a pain, the way they did it. But whatever, not a lot of room. But at any rate, guys, I'm gonna go see what the boss is doing. So I'm gonna come at y'all here in a bit, get my tools put up, and we'll see what the rest of the day brings. I think I'm probably just gonna end up watching him move dirt, and then I'll feed. So, as kind of a disclaimer, I am not a mechanic. I don't claim to be a mechanic. Driving truck for all the years that I did, you were forced to work on your own stuff you wanted to keep moving. And I shouldn't really say it like that because a lot of guys that drive don't have to work on their own stuff, but those were my circumstances, and I'm glad that I did. And then working out here on the farm, we do most of the stuff ourselves. Now, if it's real big, whatever, we'll take it in. If it's going to be more time than what it's worth, we'll take it in. This right here, as much as I would love to take it in, just because it was a pain in the neck, it's not horribly time consuming. The worst part, as far as time goes, was really just trying to figure out how to get that doghouse out. Once I get that figured out, then I had to go in there, and of course everything is covered in oil and grease, and then the cleanup, trying to get everything cleaned up so you can see what's what and see where everything is. And then once you see where everything is, then trying to figure out how to get it out. Getting it out and getting it put back in does not take all that long. It's just trying to figure out how to do it. And there is not a whole lot of room to do anything in there. Now, diesel mechanic, they could have probably laughed at me and thought of a million easier ways to do it. And rightfully so. Because it is a pain, but it worked. It worked, thank goodness. So we'll see when it gets real cold this week how it's going to play. I really don't know. We're supposed to get a good bunch of snow this week, supposed to drop down into negatives, so we'll see how it works. Hopefully good. You can see, side dumper just dumped that load of dirt over there. Zoom in just a bit, and you can see our pump. So we're building a driveway through the ditch so we can get to the pump. Nice and easy. But the boss man's taking loader over there, pushing the dirt, building the road, then he'll take the box scraper over, level it out. Nice and easy. Well, as you guys can see, boss man's gonna have fun playing with the dirt, playing with the payloader, making that driveway. And like I said, he'll come back with the box scraper here a little bit later on and make it exactly how he wants it. And then when he does that, then I'll be able to go and feed because I'll have access to the payloader to scoop the stuff in for the ration. So I come back over here and driving around pens again, just to see if there's anything that they did in the interim while I was gone. And they're usually not. But this time, there is. They broke a hot wire down on the back end of pen 5 here, so I'm gonna go turn the fencer off or unplug it, and we'll go back down there and we'll reattach that or figure out what we gotta do to make it work. So, I don't know if you can see this, but they broke our wire. That's not too bad, that's not a hard fix. We'll take it off a couple of the insulators. and we'll stretch her out and put her back together. Well, I didn't have any barbed wire in the pickup like I thought I did. Thought I had a small roll of it. So I had to use some baling wire. I intended on stretching that tight and then making the eyes and just hooking the two sides together because the fence has been stretched, and it's an old fence, but it's just too brittle. Just kept breaking, which I kind of figured it might. But I used baling wire to make a splice between the two of them so the fence will stay hot and do what it's supposed to do. Then I'll come back tomorrow with the barbed wire and I'll run the whole new section like I'm supposed to, or like I think you're supposed to. I mean, this will be good enough, but I'm not happy with it. You know what I mean? So I'll turn the fencer back on. Boss man brought the payloader back, so I'll go ahead and feed. Then I'll head home and I'll come back and get after it tomorrow. Boss man will go state basketball tomorrow and enjoy himself. Loomis is playing and his niece is playing, so you get to watch both those games. And then we're supposed to have that big snowstorm come through, so I don't know if he'll make it back or not. And if he does, great. If he doesn't, I'm not going to worry about it. I'd rather have them safe down there than trying to get back for nothing. I can run the equipment to move snow, and I can keep the cattle fed and healthy, so that's all that matters. But at any rate, guys, I'm going to cut this off here. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope those of you that watched it for the intake heater relay got the information you needed. And I'm going to sign off here. As always, guys, thank you all for watching.